Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Roland A. Drolet, PhD in Biomedical Engineering from the University of Toronto, 1971. I am the developer and inventor of the RUMART PEM system that has helped over 1 million people all over the world who were suffering from all kinds of health problems. Today I'm with my son, François Drolet, gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist in Nagano, Japan, in short track speed skating. I was just going to talk about the 18 unshared attributes of Buddhas, okay? According to the Tibetan Buddhism as expressed by Maitreya and John Hopkins in his book, which is one of the best in the English language according to a lot of people. I've been reading over 100 books now, really, in subject of Buddhism. Some are very complex, other simple, but this one is sort of complete picture, and it has so many references. Okay. And for me, at least, it was very good because I needed to somehow have a book that contains almost everything that has been written, the essential of it, in the English language. Mm-hmm. For me, I have to admit today that I'm more familiar, more at ease in the English language than in French. Okay. And I'm convinced that I've been living maybe in another life in England. When I was there, I felt I was home more than in Canada. When I was in Osaka, Japan, I was on the main street for about 4 hours. And when I took a walk on the main street, I wondered where I could have a bite. And I ended up in a London tea house, and I had a bite, and I felt home. But I was in Japan. So there is some things that I could tell you a lot about other things like that I felt that I've been there already. So I don't have a scientific proof of that, but I have strong feelings that something happened. Why have I been going around the world, and when I'm somewhere, I feel that I was born there? It's bizarre, but that's the way. And my children feel the same way, I believe, because they have been moving quite a lot. And so I come back to these broad perspective of the Buddha. But first, I just want to mention, like the Dalai Lama mentioned, that if we want to talk about compassion, love, and Buddhahood, we should first think, what does it mean for us, these terms? Okay? So define what it means, what we mean by compassion and love, what we really, okay? And then I'm going to talk a little bit about this 18 unshared attribute of Buddhas, and a few words about the 5 main paths in Tibetan Buddhism, you know. Okay. So defining what we mean by compassion and love from the words of the Dalai Lama that were translated into French, that I retranslated into English because that's the little book for the 2016 called Thoughts and Meditation for 2016. So in this, in one of these days, he mentioned that before generating compassion and love, it's essential to have a clear comprehension of what we consider to be compassion and love, what we consider. So he said, borrowing I'm saying that, borrowing the simple words of the Dalai Lama, that's what I just said, Compassion and love can be simply defined as positive thoughts and sensations that allow the emergence or generation of hope, courage, determination, and inner strength. So the simple way, one of the greatest or of the great capacity of this Dalai Lama is to say complex things into so simple words that everybody understands.
Yes.
So that's which are essential, he says, for developing a pure and deep sense of happiness. Okay? And then he talks about the fundamental nature of Buddha in all sentient being, that the potential of Buddha that we say that we all have. So before giving the 18 unshared attributes of Buddhas, which is something to think about. I've been thinking about for about 1 month and a half now, but you're maybe thinking about this for the rest of your life, and you will still have something to think about. So, but in the simple word of the Dalai Lama, he said, this is the most subtle consciousness level, which is pure and immaculate, and which is a potential nature shared by all sensitive beings. Okay, in a few sentences. With respect to this subtle nature of Buddha, all living beings are equal. They all have this potential. In the sense that when adequate conditions will be gathered, our subtle Buddha nature will evolve in a realized Buddha with 18 unshared attributes. Okay. That's what I added, 18 unshared attributes after Jeffrey Hopkins. So in just a few words, I will mention this that sounds really, that's why I asked you to be feeling like a 5-year-old child who is open to this and who wants to think about, well, this may be the truth, but let's see if it's a truth that can be good for me. You know, as Carl Jung said, if you want to see if a truth is a real truth, you ingest it. And if you feel bad in your stomach and in your belly, that's probably not for you. So somehow this is in the same line as the Dalai Lama. So I am going to just simply explain maybe just a few words about the 18 unshared attributes of Buddha. Why unshared attributes? Then I thought to myself, well, why don't they want to share their attribute? Well, my answer after thinking is that it's unshared attribute because each Buddha is unique and has a unique experience. That's like the end of the road of thousands or millions of life. Okay? So each Buddha is unique. And at the same time, it has the same qualities, basic qualities of all Buddhas in general terms, but their activities are different. Okay? So that's why how I understood the unshared attributes, because I thought if I am a Buddha, suppose that I get there some lifetimes, why wouldn't I want to share it? Because you cannot share your whole experience because it is something that is unique. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that is very important to show why individuals are so important. And like many religions and government politicians try to put everyone in the same basket to control them, because it's easy to control and people don't think. Mm-hmm. But each individual has an infinite potential. And so let me just list this. So the first attribute, unshared attributes of Buddhas, is being non-mistaken physically, for instance, not taking the wrong road physically, not being mistaken in real life on earth, okay, when they're there, not being mistaken verbally. Everything they say is for a reason, and saying nothing also is for a reason. Sometimes it's speaking a lot when you say nothing, okay? And for instance, when the Dalai Lama gathered all heads of different religion in the same room, some of them thought that the Dalai Lama was to give them a speech. And he just looked at them peacefully and he said, if you agree, we're all going to meditate together. So he didn't want to judge any one of them, but he was one of them. And one of his secrets, the Dalai Lama, he says, when I'm with somebody else, I try to feel that I'm the smallest of them. Okay. So I listen. See? Okay, so third one, not decreasing in mindfulness, what we call in French pleine conscience. And Thich Nhat and talk about it in this little book. Okay, not ever, and the next one, not ever not being in meditative equipoise, what I was talking about. In other words, your life, even during your sleep, somehow you are in a calm and your spiritual being is still, you're connected to it. You are it, you know, and with your body. Okay? So not ever not being in meditative equipoise, and meditative in the two sense, in the sense of being calm and open, but analytic meditation, which you verify or you, I would say, you validate your intuitions to make sure that it's the truth for you. Okay? So the fifth one of these 18 non-charitable youth is, they say, not discriminating cyclic existence and nirvana, or phenomena and their emptiness. I'll just say a few words of example. Not discriminating cyclic existence and nirvana. I told you in the first part of this introduction that when you ask me what happened when we die, somehow you make death as a continuation of this life. So in a sense, I realized a few days ago that somehow you expressed that when you were 5, cyclic existence, like many life, and nirvana, to be happy and like in paradise, it's the same, it's not different. So not discriminating between this, and not discriminating between phenomena and their emptiness. Phenomena is like a teaching, like I talk about Rumart phenomena, or Rumart Dharma, for instance, just an example. And their emptiness, the word emptiness in English is translated in French by vacuity. What it means in Buddhism, it means that realizing that nothing exists independent of the rest. Okay, so that's what it means, and I don't want to go into more details, but just to summarize, cyclic existence and nirvana are not discriminated, and phenomena and their emptiness are not seen as different entities. Okay. It's seen as one. Number 6, not being disinterested. Then I thought, why not be interested? It's not the same thing. When you think about it, not being disinterested. Not being disinterested means it has something to do with compassion also. That means that you are not feeling that you have to be interested and to imply yourself in everything. Okay? But you have to be conscious of what's happening. You are not disinterested. because these are the attributes of a Buddha. So whatever happens, you are somehow above this. It doesn't affect you. So whatever happens, you are not disinterested, but you don't have to do things yourself. You know, if you have a Buddha, you have nothing to show to anyone, not even to yourself. Okay, so seventh one, 7, 8, 9, 10. I will go fast on this. Is aspiration. You gave aspiration to other people, pure aspiration. Efforts, in the sense of joyful efforts. You do something, but nothing is painful. It is joyful. Okay, even if you sweat, as we do now a little bit. Okay. After that, number 9, mindfulness. So this is pleine conscience in French. So mindfulness means that you are aware of everything around you, whatever you do. Okay? And 10th one is wisdom. Okay? La sagesse in French. So number 11, it's non-degeneration of liberation from abandonment of obstruction. So this is a Buddhist concept, non-degeneration of liberation. You get a liberation of cyclic existence and this suffering and all that. But at first, when you feel you get free and liberated, it doesn't last for that long. Ups and down, ups and down. So, but when a Buddha is realized, not just a potential that everyone has, he is all the time free and liberated. Number 12, non-degeneration in the wisdom realizing liberation. Okay, so it's showing that wisdom, it's something that we are missing words to explain about it. But it takes wisdom to take a road that will liberate you above what's happening in the world and all the worldly things that happens. Number 13, 14, and 15 is governing by wisdom the activities of body, speech, and mind. Governing by wisdom the activity of body, speech, and mind. In other words, your body is just the way you behave, the way you feel, the way... This is an activity. And speech, what you say, and mind, what you think. Okay? So governing by wisdom the activities of body, speech, and mind. And number 16, 17, and 18. This is called non-obstructive wisdom. La sagesse non obstruée. Non-obstructive wisdom with respect to all object of knowledge. What is an object of knowledge? It's a phenomenon. It's a dharma. I realized this by words that mean not much and that seem to be confusing, but the connection that he makes and that I made from what I know, things got so simple. An object of knowledge is a phenomenon. It's a dharma from Sanskrit. So these words mean the same thing. Okay? So non-obstructive wisdom with respect to all object of knowledge in the past, present, and future. Because a Buddha sees things in the past, of course present, and they see things that will happen. So this, we are talking about the limit of the road of spirituality as Buddha, okay? So non-obstructive wisdom with respect to all object of knowledge in the past, present, and future due to the absence of any impeding obstruction. There's no more obstruction. You have abandoned all that needs to be abandoned. Okay? And then I just wrote, Amen, so be it for all sensitive beings. Because les êtres sensibles, in English, it's sensitive beings. So that includes animal and all that. So I will just add a few words about the 5 main paths leading to Buddhahood. You know, so the first path is called accumulation path, the merit of what you're doing. Okay. Second path, the main path, is preparation path, on the attainment of a union of calm abiding, peace, calm abiding, calm of mind, and special insights with emptiness as the object of knowledge. In other words, the fact that everything is interrelated, because in Buddhism, you don't need an independent God from outside of what exists. You don't need that, because things happen all related together. Okay? So now the third main path, is sight, vision, if you want. That exceeds calm abiding because the clarity is afforded through analysis. Okay, not only just meditate with calm, but analyzing what happens. So even the word analysis, what does it mean? Ana, in Sanskrit language, it means a path, a way, ana. Lysis, we say in chemistry, for instance, dialysis, you know. Lysis means to break down. So analysis, it means to break down the way, okay, for everything. Meditation is the fourth main path, and then I summarize it by the expression, not ever not being in meditative equipoise. So that your life is a meditation. Mm-hmm. Just like in Zen Buddhism, they say that Zen is all you do, pleine conscience, okay, mindfulness. And the fifth main path, then this is just the end of it. They call it no more learning. And then just demonstrate the 18 unshared attributes of Buddha. You don't have to learn anymore because your presence is an action, okay? So no more learning, so at some point. Okay, now the 5 beings who actualizes the main path that we just talked about, they are termed in English, I won't go in detail, stream enterers, so they enter with the other people. Once returner, like they have to come back in another life, I presume. Okay. Never returners, say this their last life, it could be seen like that, okay. But I'm still learning about it. And the fourth one is, they call it Foap Destroyers, F-O-E. In English, means an enemy. Foap Destroyer means that you use your own system of thinking to negate anything that you don't comprehend. Because if you are coherent in your system, you're always right, like my mother said at 5. Okay, so but I'm still working on it. And the last one is of the being realizing the 5 paths is solitary realizers. This is much tougher, takes longer time. In other words, people who don't really need a master or a guide, they just do it by themselves. But it's something that's very rare, apparently. And the final fruits of these positive phenomena, because in Buddhism, they say in Tibetan Buddhism that there are 53 phenomena of the negative class, you know, like the body, this and that, suffering, and emotion. And there are 55 phenomena of the pure class. Okay. So the 18 attribute of Buddhas that I talked about is just the 47th of the 18 of them. It's just the 47th of these positive pure class of phenomena. So there's a lot of things. Okay. And when we talk about scientific philosophy of life, we are going to add in this teaching of the video clips I'm doing, maybe 50 to 75 new phenomena that I consider to be neutral. Not negative, not positive. It depends what you do about it.
Sure.
Like the robot system or anything. A car is a good thing. But if you use it to turn over people in a crowd, that's a very bad thing. Okay?
Yeah.
So the three final fruits is item 53 and 55 of the pure class of phenomena. Okay? They call them knowers of the basis. Ils comprennent la base. Or hearers, cognizers of emptiness. Ceux qui écoutent puis qui comprennent emptiness. Just briefly. Like this book is Meditation on Emptiness. So this is like a central term, theme for him. The second fruit is knowers of the path or bodhisattvas, cognizers of emptiness. The other one, hearers, is knowers of the basis, and bodhisattva are knowers of the path. They study, it could be many lives studying these paths.
Bodhisattvas.
Bodhisattvas. Okay, cognizer of emptiness. And the 55th one is, of these three final fruits, is the omniscient consciousnesses. They are the Buddhas, omniscient consciousnesses. Okay? See, it's a phenomenon. It doesn't happen for nothing. It's human beings who work and improve and improve and improve, and somehow they believe in that this ideal exists, because otherwise it would be senseless to want to attain it. So I repeat, omniscient consciousnesses of Buddhas, cognizers of all phenomena simultaneously. So this is something to show us that we are not there, quite there yet, at least not every day. Okay, now the last point I want to make on this short, long introduction is, I say, however, since these clips are not limited to any specific beliefs, philosophy, or religion, but they are intended to people who have at least a level of high school, graduated high school level, and then they will not want to kill me because of the equations I'm going to show them and simplify them. But for this introduction, I believe that it's for everyone to understand whatever they can, and to meditate about it. Okay? So this is about it for this short, long introduction. And I thank you very much for listening. And thank you, Francois, for being an audience in my mind of at least 1.3 billion people. This is what I think when I look at this little piece here, which symbolizes happiness and health. And I bought it in Beijing. And I thought of these 1.3 billion people who really want to be freer than they are. So I believe that I have something to do for them. But in the meantime, I wish I did something for you as representing 1.3 billion people at least. So thank you very much, Francois. You're a good listener. And I was going to say, too bad for not taking all the question, but the answer to that is that what I've said is not really from me, it's from the wisdom of all these people that existed. And who am I to question this? I just express how I felt it and how I realized the truth in this really in the last days, the last month, the last year. And realize now that the first Buddha somehow that I saw in my life was my mother. And my mother was another type. My father was another type.
Okay.
He was at a much different place. And then I saw Albert Einstein and Jesus, you know, like people or beings who aspired me of being better, and I wanted to understand everything. But once you understand something, it's important to do something with it. But if you keep it for yourself, unless you are a realized Buddha, where you cannot share all you have because you could kill people with all you know. That's up to that far. You could confuse people for a long time. It's just too much.
Yeah.
But gradually, what they call the Lamrim in Tibetan Buddhism, Lamrim means to learn, progressively learn, to get more and more to be closer to this state of peace, mind, and joyfulness that we all wish for every sensitive being. Even if they don't know it, we know that they don't know it, okay? So take care and have a good day, and pleased to have such wonderful listeners.